Hey, Monica, this is Commissioner Stites. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Thank you.
Public are attending remotely via Zoom as well as on site. All participants joining by phone should mute their phones when not speaking to avoid background noise. When speaking, please speak directly into a microphone to ensure everyone listening is able to hear your comments and to ensure a clear record is made. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time you speak so the public that is observing knows who is speaking. This is critical given the number of remote participants and its current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General. Prior to the public meeting is participate by Zoom or submit comments by email prior to the meeting, and those comments will be included in the record of this meeting. The public may also indicate their intent to provide remote public comment by contacting the clerk's office by noon on the day of the meeting. The public also will have an opportunity to provide brief comments either via telephone or Zoom on the fifth floor conference room of the municipal office building. If public comments are allowed on an agenda item, comments should be limited to the topic of that item. Disruptive comments and behavior are not permitted and may result in removal from the meeting. I will now call this meeting of Economic Development Finance Standing Committee for September 8th, 2025 to order, and I will ask the clerk to please call roll.
Roll call. Wakes,
Here.
Lopez,
Here.
Burns. We have an absent memo. Stites,
Here.
Townsend. Here. Burrows.
Here. Thank you, committee. Next item would be the approval of the minutes, but at this time we have no minutes to approve, so we will move right into the committee's agenda this evening. And Commissioner Townsend, thank you for being here. That keeps me from juggling the agenda around. So we'll go ahead and jump right into item 4.1. Our very first item. It's our only action item for the evening, and it's a resolution dealing with the Fifth Amendment to assignment of assumption and Second Amendment development agreement to the home field project. And I recognize Chelsea Chisholm, our Economic Development Director, for presentation and comments.
Thank you, Chair Burrows, members of the committee, Chelsea Chisholm, Economic Development. So the developer has requested that we continue this item until the September 29th ED&F committee meeting date. Okay.
That's what
I apologize. So up for the committee's consideration tonight is the the Fifth Amendment. No, thank you. That authorizes the creation of a community improvement district for the K1 auto racing and the 99-room Hilton Hotel that would impose a 2% sales tax on those projects. We will have an additional amendment for the committee's consideration at the meeting on the 29th this month.
Okay, so we're moving forward with this agenda item this evening.
That's my understanding.
Okay. Mr. Napper, you have anything you'd like to add to that?
My apologies for the confusion, and I'm wondering if I'm the one confused, as I don't see anyone from my team or your council here. There are other items we wanted to discuss with this committee, but at a later date, not tonight. I was under the impression that tonight, a lot of what we were going to talk about, we reviewed with you all a couple months ago, and then at Board of County Commissioners as well, and it has to do with the development agreement that we currently have, already has in the agreement that the master plan project, the plus or minus 400 acres, will have CID districts within the development. And what we are bringing in front of you tonight, and again, we spoke about this a couple months ago, was the pay-as-you-go CID for the Hilton and for the K1 karting. And again, I apologize that no one else from my team is here because an exhibit had been prepared, but hopefully from the master plan, you all are familiar that the K1 is down by the Atlas 9 facility at 98th and State, and the Hilton Hotel is right at the entrance to the U.S. Soccer facility. And so, again, going along with our development agreement, had already talked about these CIDs, and again, I think I had spoken about this a couple months ago. These are not bonded. These are not upfront. These are not investment bankers issuing bonds. These are pay-as-you-go CID that both users, that collectively they'll be investing about $42 million to build these facilities. They wanted to have the add-on sales tax, the add-on CID. They are not taking tax or any revenue from any other source, from anybody else. It is a new tax that they would be adding on to the existing tax. No funds would be available to them until they've already spent their plus or minus $42 million to build both facilities. And if tax is available following construction and they've met all the other requirements for the cost certification and the cost, then that added sales tax would be available to them to reimburse up to a certain amount for qualified costs. So again, there's no monetary risk. There's no reputational risk. This is simply if there is tax there post-construction, as there is, same as the other CID districts that are in this overall master plan, that Hilton and K1 would have the ability to utilize this vehicle.
Thank you, Mr. Napper. Before we get started, I want to make sure that there's very little confusion here, or minimize the amount of confusion that may come forward. I know you said the Hilton and the K1 Speed 99-room hotel, there's a total of $6.5 million to be financed with the proceeds of a 2% district sales tax, CID, that is being proposed. Is that inclusive of both?
Yes, sir. That would be a total for both.
6.5 million.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for that clarity. Okay. Chelsea, anything you want to add to this?
Nothing additional. Happy to answer any questions.
If I'm to understand correctly, the 2% CID is the maximum.
As authorized by statutes, that's correct.
Okay. Committee, any questions? Commissioner Lopez.
Okay, so the CID is the 2%. That's just to collect sales tax for infrastructure later on down the road, correct?
More or less, yes, sir. There are a broader legally permissible use of a CID, but in this case, this would be primarily infrastructure. Yes, there more than you may want to know, but in both of these lots, the K1 parcel and the Hilton parcel, there is significant site work and significant storm sewer work that has to be relocated for both these users to fully invest their $42 million. So it is substantially infrastructure type work, sir.
Okay, thanks. So just in case we want to do another retention pond. All right, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Commissioner Townsend?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Mr. Napper. I just want to get this on the record, so I didn't want Mr. Napper or his group to feel like we didn't go through it, but I recall that this seems to mirror what you and your group talked about in our June ED&F meeting. So are there any real changes to what you put forward at that? You said this was coming, because when I looked at this, I'm saying this looks a little bit like what we've discussed before. So just want to make sure that was the same thing. I did read it again, but it looked very familiar.
Wonderful memory, Commissioner. Yes, you're correct. That is, again, this is more or less a repeat of the presentation. And again, I apologize, there's not a visual here, but this is a repeat of what we discussed in a good amount of depth in June. And this is, I think, more just the official documentation paperwork to follow up with it, but this is what we discussed in June. Yes.
Ms. McCarthy, I see your hand up. I haven't got to the public part yet, but I do see your hand up. I will get to you when I recognize the public comment. Committee, Mr. Stites, I don't see you on the screen. Do you have any comments you'd like to make?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. So I want to get back to the CID. It caught me off guard a little bit. You said the CID would be for infrastructure, but my understanding is Star Bonds pays for infrastructure and the cost of infrastructure. So the CID would be for,
Sir, again, there are the legally permissible cost reimbursements for CID are much broader than Star Bonds. And as you know, all of our Star Bonds have been spent to deliver over $430 million of new product to this project for the past few years. This, like I said, this would be a lot of this money would go towards infrastructure because again, these lots have not been developed yet, but I do not have the full, down to the penny of where it would be spent, but there would be, the money would be spent pursuant to what is permissible under CID, but given there are massive storm, sewer and grading on both these lots, I believe a chunk of this money, a big chunk would be spent on infrastructure. But again, as far as Star Bonds, there are no Star Bonds presently available for any of this infrastructure.
is it your intent to apply for Star Bonds for that, Richard? And I'm not trying to be argumentative.
No, no, sir.
Star Bonds pays for infrastructure, and I don't want to see a duplication.
No.
I would hate to get into a duplication of financing.
No, no, sir. And again, every month when we submit our certificate of expenditure, which is a very detailed thing that goes to staff and then goes to your third party, I guess I'm going to call Baker Tilly an auditor. Fair comment. They audit everything, and there is certainly no duplication. We account for every dollar of private, every dollar of public, every month when we send in that certificate of expenditure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. If there any other questions from the committee? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk, if there are any comments received from the public.
No comments were received.
Thank you. I'll ask the clerk if there are any hands raised by the public online who wish to speak. If so, the comments should be limited to the topic of that item. Disruptive comments and behavior are not permitted and may result in removal from the meeting. You are given up to 3 minutes to make your comments. Please state your name, city of residence for the record. And Madam Clerk, are there any hands that are raised?
We do have one hand raised. Carrie McCarthy. You can please unmute. You have 3 minutes. State your name and place of residence.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, hi, Carrie McCarthy, Kansas City, Kansas resident. I think before we start issuing any more CIDs or any more bond dollars, I think we're going to need a list of how these monies are spent. I know that the county would like some infrastructure work done for the county that we pay taxes for. So before we continue with another development agreement, yet a revision 5, I'm not sure why you all can't put teeth in your development agreements to begin with. We need to start writing agreements that we can abide by as a county and make sure every bond dollar that we're putting into this benefits the community as a whole, because I have not seen it. I have not seen any numbers to show how successful Margaritaville's been. Homefield, I'm hearing rumors about some bad things going on. So I think the county deserves some answers before we continue to issue the CID bonds that got us in trouble with Hard Rock. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCarthy. If I remember, Hard Rock was a Edwardsville development and not a KCK development.
And Commissioner, there are no bonds issued in conjunction with this proposed CID. Just as a point of clarification, it's a pay-as-you-go.
Any other comments, staff, legal? Okay, Thank you. Any other hands raised?
There are no other hands raised.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak? You will be given up to 3 minutes to make your comments. Let the record show no one step forward. Committee, we now come to the point where we have to entertain a motion for the resolution. I would, I'm open to a motion.
This
To
is
approve.
Commissioner Stites, and if I can, Chair, I have a question, follow-up to what Ms. McCarthy referred to.
Sure, please, Chad.
So will any, and this would be for staff or for Richard, will any of this infrastructure, stormwater, will any of this benefit other than just the single user or the two users, right? I know we talked about stormwater. Does this help with any of those other costs that we might, as a county and as taxpayers, would incur down the road?
Commissioner, it's Richard Napper. Thank you for the question. And I'm not a civil engineer, but I've been doing this quite a long time, and the answer would be yes. The stormwater sizing and relocations would help, I guess it's called downstream users. And again, this would be capturing a significant amount of stormwater and flowing it as it needs to flow versus ponding, pooling, or otherwise disperse. So this would be, again, a cost that would benefit more than just these specific users and lots.
Okay. And then I want to be real clear because I want to make sure, and I think you answered it, but I want to make sure that I heard it right. So we are not issuing 1 penny of a bond. This is a self-imposed tax on top of what we would already collect, and it's a pay-as-you-go, and without performance, there is no pay. Is that correct?
That is correct. Again, these users are imposing this additional tax on people that come to those facilities. And as I said, these users will have spent approximately $42 million of their own money to get completed before they would be able to even ask for reimbursement, because the tax is only there as they progress and as tax is created from users at these facilities. So it's strictly upon completion and as each property would progress economically down the road.
Okay. All right. And will we receive like how these dollars are spent, right? I know you referenced the kind of the third party auditor, but is that something that the commission that we have access to down the road, or to monitor, to follow this?
Yes, sir. Every month, again, there is a certificate of expenditure that we send in every month, and it details down to invoices and receipts, honestly, to the penny, for every single dollar spent publicly and privately. And that is remitted to Baker Tilly, your third-party auditor, and I am assuming that your finance team interacts with Baker Tilly. That is reviewed in detail every month. And again, it is to the penny.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
This is Shelley Knieven, Chief Financial Officer. We could certainly provide that information to you. We're glad to do it if you'd like to see it. We do that to make sure that all developers that have a development agreement are compliant with their development agreement. And so the terms, it depends on what we're looking for. But as Mr. Napper said, we document the private investment was really spent. We document that the public investment, how it was spent and used. So that is information, because it's all governed in the development agreements that the commission approves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez. Commissioner Stites, were you finished with your comments?
Yeah, I just said thank you.
Okay, thanks. Sorry. Commissioner Lopez and then Mr. Wakes.
So, Commissioner Lopez here, District 6. Shelley, when you get that list, is that like paid invoices as well? I got you. Okay. And then this might be a question for legal, is the CID is for infrastructure as well altogether, and the Star Bonds pays for infrastructure. Would the Star Bonds pay for the stormwater and such as it's going?
This is Wendy Green, Deputy Chief Counsel. Not if there are no longer any STAR bonds left available for this project.
Shelley Kneven, Chief Financial Officer. There is an allocation of STAR bonds, but the expenses are not duplicated. So the STAR bonds are being used for certain improvements. These would be reimbursing the developer for other improvements. So there's no overlap, no double reimbursement. That's the kind of compliance that we would be doing. But I just wanted to clarify because we will be bringing forward another bond issuance to complete out the already authorized STAR bonds that have been previously approved for home field, and that'll be coming forward in the next few months.
If I remember correctly, there's also a third-party analysis that is done. It has to be approved.
Yes, to issue any STAR bonds of any sort, first issuance, second, third, or so forth, there's an independent revenue study to make sure that the proceeds are there to repay those bonds. So that even though the UG is not putting ourselves at financial risk for those bonds, we certainly want to make sure that the bondholders are repaid. So that revenue study is required by the underwriters that sell the bonds. So we do that. In fact, that's a process we're in right now.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Wakes?
Thank you. Stevie Wakes, BPU. I think you've heard from one of our citizens regarding their concern about projects coming into Wyandotte County. And I do think it is a bit unfortunate that you don't have your team here with you with the presentation, because the question is always asked, and maybe it's taken for granted by those making presentation because they make them often. But it's so important that the community is aware as to what benefit this project is going to bring to the community. And I think that is going to be one of the things that we are in need to hear from developers in order to help our public understand how we're benefiting. Because, as you know, particularly those of us who live east of 635, those of us who live from paycheck to paycheck, and can barely afford to some of the things that are happening out west, make it really difficult to afford. We want to know what benefit it's going to bring to us in order for us to approve, because if they're asking me to approve something, I'm going to want to know what benefit is going to be for the entire Wyandotte County, not just for those who live west of 635. So I just want you to be aware when you come in to make a presentation or ask the committee for anything, and I'm sitting on the committee, those are the things that we're going to want to hear. Mr. Napa.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that comment and thank you. And again, in prior presentations we've made for the entire master plan, and again, I apologize, I do not have the numbers in front of me, but there has been annually, there's millions and millions of dollars in property tax that we've paid. There's millions and millions in sales tax, and the employment created by Homefield is substantial. And as every parcel and every square foot of land gets further developed, that's increased property tax, increased employment, and increased tourism to the area. And when you look at the number of people that have come into just the Homefield facility and the baseball facility in a calendar year, again, as I said before, total visitation is greater than Arrowhead Stadium by the placer AI technology we've seen. So that's a lot of people spending their dollars in Wyandotte County. So I do think that when you look at Homefield has developed approximately $430 million of product in the past few years, that's a staggering number. And the number of people that come in from out of county, out of city, out of state is enormous. So would be happy when we're back in front of you here in a few weeks on another topic to bring a more detailed analysis with the help of staff. But I will tell you the impact in the numbers they're substantial.
Thank you.
Commissioner Townsend?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Townsend, District 1. Aside from the benefit to all of Wyandotte County in the sales tax and property taxes that your past developments under the Homefields banner has added to all parts of the city, it's great that regardless of where sales tax and property tax generate, they are put into one pot to be divided for expenses throughout the city. So those are good questions to ask as my colleague here asked, but we have to keep informing the public that wherever the development is located, it benefits the entire general fund, the entire general pot of what's distributed for infrastructure. Also, the earlier question that Commissioner Stites brought up about the CID, and this is important, it just doesn't go up. This CID tax will be imposed just on the users of these particular entertainment. And I know you didn't have your group with you tonight for all of them. So as I read this, you're looking at Atlas 9. You might want to talk a little bit about what that is. I think that's the immersive experience, right? You got the hotel under a brand name. Big Shots, that's a golf attraction, and a go-kart. So is it correct to say that the CID tax will only apply to people who use those entertainment venues?
The subject of the CID in front of you is just for the Hilton Home 2 Suites and the K1 karting. Those are the only two facilities.
Okay.
They're subject to this pay-go CID that we're proposing this evening. Just those two.
Okay, so will this be pertinent only to those two then activities, not
Yes.
to my McDonald's out
Correct.
there or anything? Okay.
Just if you go drive a go-kart 40 miles an hour indoor, or you spend the night at the Hilton Home 2 Suites, that would be the only two, ma'am.
Okay, and nothing else would be impacted. All right, thank you. I would move to approve the resolution as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Stites, that was you that seconded it, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Okay. Committee, we have a motion and a second for approval. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Roll call. Wakes,
Aye.
Lopez,
No.
Stites,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Motion is 4-1, carries.
Thank you, committee. That's our only action item for this evening. And just for the committee's information, that was just to approve the CID up to 6.5 million over a 22-year period for two projects. It'll be investing 42 million in Wyandotte County. And you heard from the developer, and any other questions or concerns people might have, you might gather those forward as it comes before the full commission. That takes us to our next two items, which are for information only. And this is a presentation which we were scheduled to have last month, but we chose to cancel the meeting. We didn't have anything else on the agenda, but fortunately tonight we do. And so tonight, the first item up is a presentation on the second quarter of the 2025 investment report. And I'll recognize Michelle Wooten,
Good afternoon.
our Deputy Treasurer.
Michelle Wooten, Deputy Treasurer Cash Manager, here this afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Here to present the quarterly investment report for second quarter covering April 1st through June 30th, 2025. Couple of key metrics we want to highlight here is the average yield is 3.05%. Our days to maturity are 91 days, down from 116 days, days to maturity in quarter one. Our portfolio cash was at the end of June was sitting at 72%, invested at 28%. You'll notice that the cash was higher during this time. We had three maturities that matured, three CDs that matured close to the end of June. We're also currently in our past due delinquent tax collection period, so the cash is sitting a little bit higher. However, we did go out for investments in August, so you will see that on the third quarter investment reporting.
Will you see the cash investment come down and more into investment?
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate, I just want to make sure I heard correctly.
Okay. Here, our average yield, 3.05, down from 3.07 in quarter one. We're below our target T-bill benchmark of 3.97, and our interest earned for quarter two of 2025 was 1.5 million. You'll see that we still are within our limits relating to maturity. As we continue to evaluate including cash in our investment policy, that is something we're looking at in our cash management policy, is removing cash as a component of that policy within that, for that target.
Ms. Wooten, if I may, could we get a total of what we've made this year on the first, this is the second quarter?
Mhm.
So far in investments this year, are we ahead of what we made last year? I know the rates are coming down just a bit compared to last year, but I know last year was a really good year on investments. So do we know where we are this year?
We can bring that back for you to make sure we give accurate information. We had some really long-term investments. Shelley Knieven, CFO. We had some really long-term investments, 3 or 4 years, that were really low interest rates that are included. We still have 4 of those that'll pay off, or I'm sorry, 4 of those that'll pay off in December. And so although we're getting 4 or 5% now, we had these that were invested back a few years ago when things were very uncertain at 1%. So they kind of artificially bring that down, but we can do a comparison as of second quarter, how much an interest earned as compared to this year. We know that cash, which we do earn interest on our cash, but it is just invested basically overnight and then replenished back into our account. It's called an overnight sweep. And it was about almost 4% last year, and it's down to 3%, but it is tied to federal rates. And so we don't really have a lot of control over that. It's not a specific decision that we're making. So we're going to be doing a couple of things. In quarter one, we had we had a certificate of deposit, and we had several agency accounts that came due, so we redeemed them. With those, we typically get the proceeds at the end when we redeem them. And then we've reinvested during quarter two. I'm sorry, within quarter three. And so there's a lot in flux. And so if you compare some of these reports, quarter one, we'll talk about quarter two, which does have a page on page 12 of the investment summary. And then what you'll see in quarter three, there's been several that have redeemed. We then took a break for investing to try and combine a number of those without putting us in a bad liquidity position. So then we went and did a bid and got really good rates. And so we'll be able to report that in quarter three. So it just all ebbs and flows. And so we'll have to do a net comparison for you to make sure that's accurate.
I just wanted, we're getting ready to, as you know, we're in the middle of budget. It'd be nice to know what additional dollars we may have available due to the investments. And it's to encourage everyone to look for the best rates possible. And I know it's difficult.
Absolutely.
Cash is idle when it's sitting, if it's not invested at a good rate, while the rates are still somewhat high before they start cutting the rates again. Just food for thought.
Understood.
Mr. Wakes.
With limits related to maturity, go ahead, Michelle.
Yes, so we didn't meet because we're including cash in that metric. So we're looking to not include that so we can get an actual visual where we should be with that.
Thank you. I didn't mean to take us off course. I just wanted to ensure that we have an understanding of what kind of money we're making.
Of the types of security in our investment portfolio, of the 367 million total, 70 million or 19% is fully collateralized per our investment policy and state statute. 34 million or 9% of that is in U.S. agencies. I meant to say 70 million or 19% is in CDs. And the transactions that occurred in quarter two was those those maturities that we had there at the end of June, you'll see there. Again, in quarter three, you'll see that we did go out for investments. Any questions?
Questions, committee? Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Ms. Vineyard, Ms. Wooten. Good to see you. You may have answered this, but if you did, I wasn't understanding relating to it. I was looking at page 2. This was one of the first slides, key metrics, investment summary. You have the average yield, 3.05%. Days to maturity, you noted was 91 days, down from 116 days in the first quarter. Could you tell me whether that was good or bad for us, what the impact of the acceleration of those days to maturity had on us?
So, getting in line with our lateral of when the maturities are happening, we were really spaced out with our days to maturity on our CD. We were spaced out because of the CDs that we had not went out for investments during a time period. So we had to lower the 2022 CDs come in. So we need to ladder. That's what we're looking at as well with the days to maturity on that.
So Shelley Kneven, CFO, to say it a little bit differently. So we had the chart that she showed with the two agencies and a treasury, a T-bill that came due and maturity. It's a timing issue. We just had not gone out to bid yet to renew those. So in this case, we had 24 was when we purchased, so it was a 12-month, and it was redeemed in 25. We had 2 that were in 22 that we purchased them, and they were redeemed in 25. And so until we go out to bid, and then it just depends on if we end up doing a 12-month, if we do a 24-month, how that affects the average, because that's going to be your average for all of those truly invested funds. And so some of this was a timing issue, but I will say with the investments that we just did, we don't have any that we were doing for 3 years simply because with the current market, it's incredibly unpredictable. And so we can get a good rate for a 12-month or a 24-month, but beyond that, we're not getting investors to quote us for 3-year rates. So we have spaced it out, and it's, again, a timing issue where we redeemed these, and they happen to be longer term, so your average on your dates of redemption came down. And then once we have those renewed with the bid, then it'll go back up some, but we are doing a little bit shorter term. I hope that helps, if that's what your question was.
Well, let me just say it another way. If the days to maturity go down, does that help us or hurt us? That's really what I'm kind of getting at. Since it was noted here, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So let's.
So Shelley Kneven, CFO, it's neither a good thing or a bad thing.
Okay.
The idea of why you track that is you want to ladder, meaning spread out your investments. So you don't have all of it invested just for 12 months. It all redeems, and then you might have a good opportunity in the market or might not. You try to make it so that they're kind of stair stacked. And so it's not necessarily that it's good or bad. It really depends on what your rate was and what the rates are when you go to reinvest. And so what we're finding is for cash, the rates have come down, okay, beyond our control, and that's just market forces. But for the investments, the 3, and we had a couple of 4-year investments, but they were not at good investment rates. They were at the time because it was very, very difficult market during COVID. So they were like 1%, and there was just a decision made to make those investments because of so many unknowns. So just to make sure you were going to get something. But doing the shorter term investments, we're finding is where we're getting the better rates that are between the 3 to 5%.
One last thing then, if it's neither good nor bad necessarily, that it goes down, the dates to maturity go down, why is it important that we track that metric?
Again, because you want to spread out your investment redemption dates. You don't want everything coming due at the same time. So we look at the specifics. We don't have that many investments, frankly. It's on page 12 of the financial report. but we're looking at when they're coming due so that it's throughout the year, because the market can change dramatically and we try not to lose out on a good opportunity. So you don't want everything redeeming at the same time, because then your only opportunity is what the market's doing right then. So you just ladder it out, which we have as part of our investment policy, which was approved by the commission, that we do want to ladder it. You do that because it allows you to take advantage of the market doing better when it does better. And when you can do some investment where you've got idle funds that you can invest.
Thank you.
Mr. Wakes?
Stevie Wakes, BPU. How long is the bidding process?
So it's not very long at all. We typically give them a heads up and we'll give them 1 day to respond, because we're very limited by state statute on what we can invest in. So we have agency funds and we have T-bills and we have certificates of deposit. That's basically it. And because those rates change daily, the banks will not hold them for an extended period of time. So we let them know it's coming. We send them the bids. They have to respond within the next day. We then tell them within a few hours what decision we've made based on which is the best pricing, the best for the UG and the interest will receive.
That's good. So your money's not just sitting there without the opportunity to be invested. That's
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Is that the end of your presentation? Thank you. Okay, committee, this was for information only, but I'll ask the clerk if there were any comments received from the public.
No comments were received.
Are there any hands raised by the public online who wish to speak?
There are no hands raised online.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this item? Let the record show no one stepped forward. Committee, this, as I stated, was for information only, and I believe the ladies that are there will be presenting the next item. Okay. Committee, that takes us to our last presentation of the evening, that's second quarter financial report. This is the last item on our agenda, so I'll ask Shelley Knieven, our Chief Financial Officer, presentation and comments. Shelley, welcome.
Thank you. And I'm joined by Debbie Johnsher, who is our Deputy CFO. So this is the second quarter of the financial report. And in our report, we highlight the major funds. And the reason we do that is this is the funds that the majority of our operations are funded from. We have many other funds that might be smaller in nature, but this is the primary governmental funds that fund our organization: the city general fund, county general fund, parks combined, and dedicated sales tax. And you'll note that we've included for the first time in this report the sanitary sewer fund. So I didn't update this chart, but we've added that, and we'll continue to add those larger funds so that we have some visibility on those for the commission. So on the city side, and you have a copy of the report and the presentation, what you'll see on the city side for the general fund, the property taxes, as you know, are paid in December and May. And so for the real estate property taxes, and then the motor vehicles taxes are paid throughout the year. And so we then collect those taxes. 96% has been collected. And then we do 5 distributions of those taxes to the taxing entities. So there will be times where like our cash balance in our operating fund looks high, but those are not dollars that we can use for our purposes. Those are dollars we can invest until we do a distribution. But we're having to do a distribution to the taxing districts. We're the tax collector for all of the districts. So the property taxes are at about 96%. That's a little more favorable than the past, because that means that our delinquencies, which we do account for some delinquencies in our estimates, but that means that we're pretty on track with our estimates. The sales and use tax, we're at 51%. And so that's a little bit more than what we would expect. We'd expect 50%, but what that tells you is that the budget team's doing a good job estimating those revenues, and they're coming in as predicted. The BPU pilot is at 44% rather than 50%, but that is because there's A little bit of delay when the funds are remitted. They're collected by BPU for, say, this month, but they're not remitted over to the UG until next month. If somebody's paying late, it might be the following month. So we have a little bit of a delay in that, so that's normal for us. And then I've mentioned a couple times, this is our last year that we will have this $10 million related to the STAR bonds. We include those as a revenue and offset it as an expense so that it doesn't distort the bottom line for the fund. But we're required, based on the bond covenants, to say that this is the way that we would pay for this if needed. It will not be needed because we have adequate funds in the STAR bond separate account to pay the bonds. So we're not concerned about that. This is just a legal requirement of how we report that, but we're glad that's ending so that we don't have to have that caveat. As we've shared with you, our salary and benefits are going above our budgeted expense. We've been sharing that with you throughout the budget process and explaining that our way of budgeting with the personnel trend was resulting in us overspending what we had budgeted. And each year we were coming back and having to do an amendment. That's what this represents. We should be at 50%, we're at 55. And when your largest expense is personnel, 5% can be a dramatic amount. But again, as a reminder, one of the most significant things, and it'll probably get lost in all of the details because there's been an awful lot of information, but one of the most significant changes that we're doing in the budget is we're no longer budgeting on the trend. And so if the position is not budgeted 100%, we're not including it in the budget and it cannot be filled. Now, if there is turnover and a position becomes vacant, we'll of course do our due diligence to say whether or not we should fill that position, or the department may say there's actually a higher and better use for that position, and they may want to change that. And there's a whole internal review process that we'll go through for that. But having those expenditures go above budget is one of the things that we're changing in the way that we budget that will protect us in the future and make it more sustainable. So it's a bit painful when we talk about the unbudgeted positions that we have just frozen and you cannot fill. And I know a number of our departments have shared information about that, but it helps to avoid this problem. We're overspending what we're budgeted, and we won't do that in the future. So in total, our fund balance, at least as of the second quarter, looked like it was going to be at about 22%. That's fairly consistent with what the budget team's been presenting in their forecast. So there's no big unknowns here that change any of the picture for the budget for next year. For the county general fund, likewise, we've got 97% of property taxes are remitted. 51% of sales tax has been collected, so it's pretty well on track. But as a reminder, the county sales tax on the county general fund, we do not get to keep 100% of that. We only keep about 7% of the county sales tax in the county general fund by state statute. The rest of it, the 93%, is remitted over to Kansas City, Kansas, Edwardsville, and Bonner Springs. So you'll see that, yes, we're on track, but it's not a significant amount of funding for the county general fund. We do show here that our salaries and benefits are pretty well on track, which is a good thing, especially since we know that we've got such concerns in terms of the budget and the personnel expenses. This is on the whole. We do have several departments that are overspending, and we're working really hard with those departments specifically to look at how we can keep that closer to what's budgeted for this year. Again, next year, we've addressed that issue. It's a budgeting policy that's been changed, and it's, although a change, it, in the long term, will be one of the things that helps this unified government be sustainable, that and having less debt. Those are the two really key policies in terms of the changes that have been made. The Parks Combined System, our fund, again, we're seeing that they have gotten 97% of the property taxes again, because those are all just distributed to the appropriate funds. They have gotten half of their transfer from this city general fund. We do this consolidated fund so that the county tax dollars that go to parks are remitted directly here. And then for city parks, we do a transfer from the city general fund, always have done it this way, over to this fund, and it's 4.9 million. And we have done half of it. We do it each quarter. On the expense side, the salaries and benefits expense is down quite a bit, 39%. And that is primarily due to vacancies. They have a lot of vacancies in that department. They work at recruiting and do a really good job, but we did put the hiring freeze in place while we waited to figure out how the budget was going to look in total and where we might need to make adjustments. We didn't want to further compound that by filling positions. So there was a decision a couple months ago to put just a freeze in place until we have a budget that we can predict a little bit about how next year will go. Dedicated sales tax, again, the sales tax revenue is right where it should be at half, which is a good thing. We are seeing that our salaries and benefits, which as a reminder, we pay for 25 police officers and 25 firefighters out of this fund. Those salary and benefits dollars are below estimate, and that's just, again, through turnover and attrition. And we expect that by the end of the year, those will be fully expensed because they all have cadets coming on board that will help to fill those positions. We also specifically spent money in the current year budget, $7.4 million of the fund balance to get that money invested in infrastructure. And we've spent about $2 million. That does not mean we don't have the rest of that encumbered for other projects. This is just the invoices that we have actually paid. So we haven't paid out as much, but the funds are encumbered and the projects are proceeding. And then the sanitary sewer fund, this is the first time that you've seen this, but we feel like it's important because it's the charges for services and it's looking at the expenses. And so we do see that charges for services, kind of like the BPU pilot, it's about 46% and the pilot was about 44%. And that has to do with just a small delay in processing the funds over because BPU, as you know, collects the sewer payments for us. And so that's just a reconciliation we do each year to make sure that we get the full 12 months in the fiscal year, but that's done at the end of the fiscal year. So it'll always look like it's lagging a little behind, but it's not. The salaries and benefits also is only at 43%, and that is because of the hiring freeze. And they have a number of positions they're going to bring forward to ask that those go ahead and be released so that they can continue to do their maintenance functions that they so desperately need to do. Their fund balance is relatively high. I will note that we brought forward the 7.5 million for the hill soil removal. That is not taken out because this is second quarter, so it hadn't been taken out yet. In the next quarter, you'll see it in the report you'll get in about a month. You'll see that it was taken out of fund balance and appropriated. It's a timing issue. But even with that, they'll still have a relatively high fund balance, 31.6 million, which will actually be 59%. So they have been putting money in reserves, and that's so that they can do more pay-as-you-go capital projects, primarily focused on the consent decree. So that's a good practice that they have instituted, and it exceeds the 25% that we would typically look for. On cash and investments, we've talked about that detailed report. So this is just providing the information in a little different summary of the same information you just saw. And in the actual report is a detailed listing of all the investments we currently do have. That's not on the slide, and it's also wasn't in the previous report on our investment summary. But if you want to see which banks, how much, what type of investment it is, that is on page 12 of the written report. And then our outstanding debt, principal, and interest. This hasn't changed. This is an annual snapshot. This just shows kind of how much balance we have or expect to have and the payments that we have budgeted throughout all of our funds, bond and interest funds, to repay the GO bonds, sewer bonds, revolving funds, et cetera. So this gives you a recap of the information we spent a lot of time talking about. As of the end of '24, we had $581 million worth of bonds outstanding. And then this year, during the year, we'll pay about $56 million in principal payments and interest. And so this will update each year, and it just depends on whether or not we issue new bonds or not. As you know, we took a debt pause for the general obligation bonds. However, we do expect that we will be bringing forward a bond issuance for the enterprise fund sewer projects only, so that we can stay on track with our consent decree. And that is built into the rate studies and all of that. So our pause was on our general, city general fund, and it was on our county general fund. But we, even at the time of asking for the pause, said that we knew we would have to bring forward some capital projects for sewer. And with that, that's completes the presentation. Glad to answer questions you might have.
Any questions? Mr. Wakes?
Stevie Wakes, BPU. Ms. Knieven, I think it was on page 6, the sewer and
Stormwater?
yeah, stormwater. So on that page, was it 6, page 6? 7, page 7. Okay. What kind of contractual services are we speaking of here?
Shelley Knieven, CFO. Some of the contractual services will be outsourcing various types of testing of the sewer, making sure we're meeting the regulations. It will be engineering fees that we are paying for specific projects or for just consent decree compliance, for example. It would also be their share of IT type contractual services and systems and those types of things that they fund through the actual user fees. The only thing funded on all those categories is things to do with our wastewater system. There's nothing funded there that is outside of wastewater.
Any other questions? Well, I'm pleased to see the county's pretty much on target, 50%, 47%. That's not bad. I know the ending balance is a little bit of a concern. Of course, we're dealing with that through the budget process. The city is ahead of itself on revenue, but right on target with expenses. So it does give us a snapshot in time as to where we are through the first half of the fiscal year. This gives the committee here a chance to see where we are financially as we work through the budget. So this is timely information to be utilized. I did have one or two questions, if I may. The ending balance in the sanitary sewer fund, the beginning of the year was 31 million, and we're at 72% ending balance. Are they holding off to pay for a project and the projects have been let? Because I heard you state that we may have to look at raising fees, but when I see a 72% ending balance, I'm going to get questioned.
Yeah, absolutely. So Shelley Knieven, CFO, and there is a high amount in the fund balance, and that is to pay for projects in the future. So this report doesn't show you what is proposed for '26. Okay, so they may be appropriating some fund balance in '26 to actually do projects with cash. As you know, at the commission's urging, we've really been encouraging our departments to move to cash when they can. These are very large, very expensive projects, and so they have to take some time to build up that fund balance to be able to then afford an actual project that has a start to finish. And so I don't have that with me, but in your budget proposals that you've gotten, you'll see what that is in terms of what's proposed.
I think it would be important to maybe bring that up as we get to
Absolutely.
the increases.
Good point.
Okay.
I'm Debbie Johnsher, Deputy CFO. I'd also, some of this balance is also their debt service that we issue. The bonds that they do issue are paid out of the debt service fund. And these rates are what pay back the debt service. So some of that balance is also to pay for the debt service that they have right now, as well as any future issues that we would issue.
Sure, understood. I think there was some question about temporary notes versus the full capitalization. And there were some questions about, I think we're going to try to minimize or eliminate temporary notes. So costs associated with those temporary notes is just basically interest, it's no principal. And if we eliminate temporary notes, it allows us to pay down quicker and not borrow money and hang on to it and have to pay the interest on that.
Right.
I remember that discussion.
That's right. And, but it also requires the departments to be very aggressive in managing their projects. They have to get them out to bid, they have to get them under construction and manage those construction contractors, which is particularly important given we know there's been so much escalation in cost for capital projects. We don't want there to be delays, and at times it might still be in design. And so it's not a criticism of the department, is that they don't have what the actual cost estimate's going to be yet. So they might do the temporary notes in design in order to know how much permanent debt we would need. But we're encouraging them to kind of put those together as part of one issuance and permanent debt. And just working to get better estimates earlier.
Yes, and so that they're not paying consultants and or engineers to figure and refigure and continue to come back with temporary notes. So those projects are important to the community. Any other questions from the committee? Mr. Stites, any questions?
No.
Thank you, committee. This was for information only. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Shelley. I will ask the Madam Clerk if there were any comments from the public submitted.
No comments were received.
Any hands online raised to speak to this item?
There are no hands raised online.
Thank you. Is there anyone present here this evening who'd like to speak to this item? Let the record show no one stepped forward. Thank you. Committee, that's for, as I stated, for information only. That concludes our meeting for this evening. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Townsend, District 1, move to adjourn.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second for adjournment. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Roll call, Wakes,
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Stites,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Motion is 5-0, carries.
Thank you, committee. Thank you for the public listening. We are adjourned.
Okay, everyone, I believe we are good to go. Before I get started, I did want to just highlight an event. One of the things that we've been really trying to do as we have revised and reformed the land bank is get more aggressive, not only with disposing of the properties, and this is Andrew Davis, Commissioner Davis, but also making sure that developers have resources available. And so if you will recall last year, a very similar event took place. There's a lot of partners, LISC from Kansas City, the Hispanic Chamber and Black Chamber, Health Forward, Urban Land Institute. A lot of people have got together. Free event for developers, particularly small scale developers. And so if you have interest and you're here, if you're online, listening, please do let folks know about this event. Again, it is free. And so this is information that is valuable to developers. It's valuable to us as elected officials, valuable to a whole bunch of folks who work in finance and academia and what have you. So did just want to share this particular resource so that people have it. And if you know of other folks that can benefit from an event like this, where you get a lot of education and networking, please do share. Yes, so the date is September 18th and 19th, so it's next Friday and Saturday. It is at the Kauffman Foundation Conference Center. And so, yeah, that event is there. And both Friday and Saturday, it starts about 8 a.m. and ends 4 p.m. on Thursday and 3 p.m. on that Friday. Yeah, but if you go in and research it out, you'll be able to see all the information. Great. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you to everybody that's been here and that's been patiently waiting for us to get started. Before I call this meeting to order, I want to announce that some committee members, staff, and the public are attending remotely via Zoom, as well as on site. All participants joining by phone should mute their phones when not speaking to avoid background noise. When speaking, please speak directly into a microphone to ensure everyone listening is able to hear your comments and to ensure a clear record is made. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time that you speak. This is critical given the number of remote participants and its current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General. The public is allowed to participate by Zoom or submit comments by email prior to the meeting, and those comments will be included in the record of this meeting. The public may also indicate their intent to provide remote public comment by contacting the clerk's office by noon on the day of the meeting. The public will also be able to provide, or also have an opportunity, to provide brief comments either by telephone or via Zoom from the 5th floor conference room of the municipal office building. If public comments are allowed during an agenda item, comments should be limited to the topic at hand. Disruptive comments and behavior are not permitted and may result in the removal from the meeting. With that, my name's Andrew Davis, Commissioner Davis. I chair this meeting. This is the Neighborhood and Community Development Standing Committee meeting for September 8th, 2025. I will call this meeting to order. Clerk, can we get the roll?
Roll call. Hill, we have an absence memo. Ramirez,
Here.
Townsend,
Here.
Bynum,
Here.
Davis.
Here. Thank you so much. We do have a quorum. Clerk, are there any revisions to the agenda?
There are no revisions.
Thank you so much. Okay, committee, our first action of business is a approval of minutes from last year from June 3rd. Our clerk's office is doing God's work and trying to track all of the things that we say. Is there a motion or are there any questions?
I move for approval.
Townsend, second.
All right, clerk, can we get the roll?
Roll call. Ramirez,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Thank you so much, committee. We appreciate your cooperation. Okay. The first item on our agenda is for our land bank. These are land bank options for which there were no opposition. And so I want to make sure that folks are very clear about that process. We will still read out the addresses as we have gone through this previously, so everyone is aware, and there will be a public comment opportunity for all of these items as they come up. But I'll hand it off to you, Mr. Sutton, to lead us.
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. Michael Sutton, Redevelopment Coordinator. Going through the land bank options with no opposition this month. Item A1, 1925 North 47th Street. Item A2.
Mr. Sutton, can you put the items on?
My apologies.
Just so the public and folks online can follow along.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Commissioner. I'm going to start over if that's okay.
Yes.
A1, 1925 North 47th Street. Item A2, 5462 Muncie Drive. Item A3, 2408 North 20th Street. Item A4, 1936 North 4th Street. Item A5, 2704 North 22nd Street.
Okay. We'll go ahead and stop there. And I know that there were some changes that were made. So can you talk about the changes that were made to the agenda?
Yes, correct, Commissioner. Items A6 and A7 were pulled from the consent agenda to the non-consent agenda. This applicant has a presentation that they're going to make concerning their application.
Gotcha. So we know that on the written agenda, there were 2 additional items. Those items were on consent. They've been moved to non-consent. One due to an ejection, the other one due to a mandated presentation. So did just want folks to be aware of that. Okay, before these particular items, before we discuss them further, let's do public comment and then committee will have some more discussion if needed. Clerk, was there a public comment for these items A1 through A5?
No comments were received.
Any hands raised online?
There are no hands raised online.
Okay, for the people that are here in the room, would anybody like to come forward and speak to any of the items from A1 to A5? Okay, let the record show no one has approached. Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public comment portion. Committee, are there any questions? Again, these items are for action. Yes, Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Mr. Knapp and Mr. Sutton. Just point of clarification, I appreciate that we're calling these out so the public knows, but I noticed there were some multiples that weren't called. Now, does that mean we're still taking action on them, or that was just, they weren't called out? For instance, A4. And there was another one also. The first one was called out, but not the following one. So I didn't know if that means those were withdrawn or what. Because it would be a good idea to call out all those addresses next time so people know. Maybe they were looking to hear a particular address, but it's
Absolutely.
multiples.
Staff, can we provide some context?
Mm.
So just to make sure, Commissioner Townsend, you're saying there are some items on the written agenda that were not called out, their addresses.
Right.
And I just want to confirm, Mr. Sun, those were the ones that were moved from consent to non-consent.
No, not those. I'm looking at, I think A4, there were some multiples, A2.
We had applications that had multiple parcels with them. And so instead of reading out every single parcel, I just read out the main address for the application. I'd be more than happy to read through all of them though.
Yes,
if you'd
please
like.
do.
Okay.
Commissioner Townsend, would that suffice?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, that was.
Okay, cool. And we will reopen the public comment portion just to make sure that we're being fair. Please do, Mr. Sutton. Thank you for that call out, Commissioner Townsend. Oh, yeah, yes, please read through the consent items for all of the As. All of the addresses that are under it.
Understood, Commissioner, and thank you for the clarification. Would you like for me to start from the very top or just hit the ones where they have multiple parcels?
Let's just start from the very top and work our way down.
Got it. Item A1, 1925 North 47th Street. Item A2, 5462 Muncie Drive and 5463 Muncie Drive. Item A3, 2408 North 20th Street and 2410 North 20th Street. Item A4, 1936 North 4th Street, 1938 North 4th Street, 1942 North 4th Street, 1946 North 4th Street, 1948 North 4th Street, and 1950 4th Street. And then A5, 2704 North 22nd Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk, did we receive any public comment for all those items that were just stated?
No comments were received.
Any hands raised online?
There are no hands raised online.
Okay, for folks in the gallery, now that we've read all of the addresses for the As, would anybody like to come and approach? All right, I'll go ahead and close the public comment portion. Thank you so much, colleagues, for the clarity as we continue to get this right. Are there any questions or is there a motion?
Townsend, District 1, move to approve the items just read for the land bank option agreements.
Is there a second?
Bynum, second.
All right, thank you so much. Clerk can get the roll.
Roll call, Ramirez,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0, motion carries.
Thank you so much, colleagues. And for staff, we'll just keep going with that. I know on screen, you do have it where multiple parcels are identified, but it'll also be helpful just to say them out loud. Okay, let's go with our B applications.
Michael Sutton, Redevelopment Coordinator. Item B1 is located at 1325 North 48th Street. And item B2 is located at 2602 North 64th Terrace. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Those are all of the Bs. Let's go ahead and do public comment. Clerk, was there a public comment for any of the B items?
There were no comments received.
Any hands raised online?
There are no hands raised online.
Okay, for the people here in the gallery, would anybody like to speak to the B items? Let the record show no one has approached. I'll go ahead and close the public comment portion. Colleagues, any discussion or is there a motion?
Bynum, move to approve B1 and B2.
Townsend, District 1, second.
Thank you. Clerk can get the roll.
Roll call, Ramirez,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0, motion carries.
Okay, so we are done with the consent portion for the options. And so now what we have are the non-consent options. We'll just address the non-consent options that we have on screen. Hand it off to staff to present.
Item A6, 2549 Hiawatha Street, 2552 Alden Street, 2526 Alden Street, 2520 Alden Street, 2536 Cessna Street, 2524 Cessna Street, 1746 Cleveland Avenue, 1736 Cleveland Avenue, 2521 Hiawatha Street, 2545 Hiawatha Street, 2541 Hiawatha Street, 2531 Hiawatha Street, 2523 Hiawatha Street. And that concludes A6. Item A7, 944 Freeman Avenue, 934 Freeman Avenue, 932 Freeman Avenue, 935 Freeman Avenue, 930 Freeman Avenue, 928 Freeman Avenue, 914 Freeman Avenue, 924 Freeman Avenue, 922 Freeman Avenue, 920 Freeman Avenue, 943 Freeman, 941 Freeman, 916 Freeman, 929 Freeman, 923 Freeman, 921 Freeman, 919 Freeman, 917 Freeman, 915 Freeman, 907 Freeman, 905 Freeman, 944 Walker, 942 Walker, 940 Walker, 903 Freeman, 1606 North 9th Street, 1520 North 9th Street, 1516 North 9th Street, 1512 North 9th Street, 1608 North 9th Street, 1602 North 9th Street, 1600 North 9th Street, 906 Freeman Avenue, 908 Freeman Avenue. That concludes the reading of all the parcels, but I do believe we have a presentation from CHCW.
Okay, yes, please do join us. I believe you can be Dr. Knieven if you want. That's right here. Awesome.
Hello, my name is Megan Painter. I'm the Director of Neighborhood Development at Community Housing of Wyandotte County. And this presentation, I apologize, I thought it was going to a different group. So a lot of these things you've already seen, but I will speed through so that you can get to the rest of your agenda. So this proposal has two different pieces to it. The parcels in Douglas Sumner are basically to start phase one for the Douglas Sumner redevelopment plan to get out ahead of a few really exciting things going on, especially with the CSO project that is going to be going through the neighborhood. You might just go down a little bit. Thanks. All right, well. But I did want to give a quick presentation about, where CHWC is right now. Can you go up a second? Sorry. Okay, so right now we have 20 houses under construction. They are scattered between River's Edge East subdivision, which was all in the land bank at one point, Waterway Park, and then a few other parcels that were not in land bank. So that's the scope of what we have going at the present moment. And then I think that we've built, renovated, or repaired over 800 homes and generated over $178 million of investment into our community. All right. So hopefully you recognize this. This is from the Douglas Sumner Master Plan. We are focusing in on Area C because that is where the CSO project is going through in the near future, and we need to get out ahead of that investment. But I think it's just really exciting that we are able to coordinate our efforts with Public Works in a really meaningful way. We can keep going off of that. The proposed unit count in Area C are 29 units, and we're looking at a really interesting mix with mostly single families, some single families with accessory dwelling units and duplexes. And then we'll, based on the subsidies that we are able to get, we should have a very healthy price range for people that I am really, really hopeful for, that we can hit some affordability ranges that we haven't been able to hit prior to this. We are looking at probably a $7.1 million project altogether. And I think this is the last slide that we'll do. But this is the area that we're talking about, and then pictures of the houses that we are placing in there. There's still some work to be done with the community neighborhood leadership in terms of some changes that they want to the design of the house, but I think mostly we're on a good track. And we need to get development going pretty quickly here. But also I have some really exciting opportunities. I've been going after some funding sources that could bring $2 million of subsidy to the construction of the homes themselves. So it would really help us establish a quality of development here that's going to match how amazing the street's going to be. I think that's all I have.
Thank you so much, colleagues. I'm sure you all may have some questions. So Ms. Painter, just stay right there. Let's do public comment. Clerk, was there any public comments for these two items?
No comments were received.
Any hands raised online?
There are no hands raised online.
Okay, for the people that are here in person, would anybody like to approach, provide public comment? I'll go ahead and close the public comment portion. Colleagues, this is for action. Yes, Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you. Megan, a year or so ago, CHWC did multiple listening sessions to talk to the community about aging in community and older adult housing. Have you incorporated any of those findings into what you're hoping to do here?
So there are a few lots that will allow us to do senior-friendly housing. Basically, what came from those listening sessions is if the topography allows for it, we are going to do a house that is great for aging in place in a one-level house. So that's kind of a thing that we have put in our strategic plan. There are other areas in this neighborhood where we can do even more interesting options. Some of the duplexes too, that will be senior friendly as well. So we have sprinkled it in, but nothing that is entirely focused on just senior. And we find a lot of times we'll build something for seniors and a very able family will move in. So I'm interested to see what more like pinpointed things we can do in the future.
It's exciting though that you're going ahead and incorporating some of that into what you're trying to do because it's so desperately needed.
Yeah, those were really valuable sessions to us. Thank you for doing those.
Yes, Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Townsend District 1. Good evening, Ms. Painter. Good to see you. Thank you for the work that CHWC has done in District 1 within the last year, finishing out about 5 homes that were sold over in the River's Edge area. And to pick up on what Commissioner Bynum was saying about plans for housing that would allow seniors to, who may be looking to downsize, to get into some of these homes. I do see a picture of what looks like a one-level home, so I'm glad to see that. And I would expect, maybe, or you can tell me, they say never assume, that with these homes, particularly the ones on one level, are they accounting for, say, features that would help age in place, like wider doorways to accommodate wheelchairs, lifts, rails in the bathrooms, that kind of thing? Or would that have to be by request?
So we do some things in our construction, like there's blocking behind the shower areas so that if you need to add a handrail in the future, you can do that. My house personally is one of those that we want to build, and I made the master bedroom door wider because my mother's in a wheelchair and I wanted her to be able to visit me. So there are things that we are fitting in with the thought of someday in the future, someone could age in place here. There are little touches, and there would need to be like also, it's just like the entry between the garage and the house is a major deal. It is more expensive to do a zero entry, but it's what we're pushing. If we can do it, we're going to do it. There's also, based on my experience, some very easy changes that can be made. So we're designing so that those easy changes can be made.
Okay, let me throw in another one for consideration too, having been a caretaker for family members. The wider doors, the lower sinks so that somebody in a wheelchair could roll up to a sink that's not way up here for someone who's not. So I'm glad those are being considered. Just a question about your price range. The lower end of the range is 110,000, higher end 360. What do you contemplate? What type of housing would be in the $110,000 range?
So those would be specifically within the duplexes. That would be, we're gonna condo those duplexes, and the first floor and the second floor will be sold separately. And then I am working right now with community development and their home funds, and those home funds are absolutely pivotal for us to hit those kind of price points.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, you all are a Chodo, and so very, very integral part to development within our community. And so this is really exciting. Ms. Painter, if you have the number off the top of your head, how many outside of these land bank projects are you all currently working on or currently in the hopper right now?
So we have 20 under construction. I think maybe they're about 12 to 15, somewhere around there, are on land bank.
On land bank property?
Yeah, yeah,
Great. Yeah.
yeah. We're just placed a house today on land bank land. I'm so excited about it. So, yep.
Awesome. And are you all are they manufactured homes? Are you building on site, modular? What's the?
So there are two projects here that are very distinct. I focused in on Douglas Sumner, but in Douglas Sumner, I don't believe that the community and neighborhood leadership are really interested in modular as they understand it currently. So we don't have any plans there until there's a proven concept that they would want to see in their neighborhood. Up in OCP, however, I have worked with those neighborhood leaders and shown them the possibilities with modular because they have proved vastly and something that we would be proud to actually put in a neighborhood. So the ones up in OCP, not the duplexes, but the single family, those are modular homes.
Gotcha. I think it would behoove us to work with you all to really kind of dispel some of the notions of the quality of those particular homes and the value that they can bring to our community as well as the cost savings.
It still ranges broadly what the quality can look like.
Sure.
So we spent 3 years trying to find something that we liked.
To get it right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Understood. Colleagues, any other comments? Okay. This item, again, this is non-consent for A6 and A7 is for action. So is there a motion?
Townsend move to approve as presented.
It's for A6 and A7. I want to make sure staff, we have.
Clarity, yes, A6 and A7.
Okay. Bynum second.
All right. Clerk, can we get the roll?
Roll call. Ramirez,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Thank you so much, Ms. Painter. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. We are moving forward. Let's just go ahead and focus on our one non-consent property transfer, and then we will get through the rest of the property transfers. Okay, Mr. Seddon, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Michael Sutton, redevelopment coordinator. For our non-consent for property transfers, we have item PT5. It's located at 932 Oakland Avenue, and it's for a garden. I'm sorry, Commissioner, would you also like to know the reason why it was opposed?
Yes.
Okay. There was opposition from the neighborhood group. And although the application details say this is a 25-foot lot, this is a 50-foot lot, which I think there was a little bit of misunderstanding. This is actually two lots, so it's two 25-foot lots. But with the potential for building a new single-family home, per the Douglas Sumner Land Bank strategy, these lots are designated for a single-family development, which will add significant value to the land, increase the local tax base, and attract further investment in the community. There's a growing need for quality housing to keep up with the population growth and provide families with safe, stable places to live.
Thank you. Okay. Clerk, did we receive a public comment for this item?
There are no comments received.
Any hands raised online?
There are no hands raised online.
For the people here in person, would anybody like to speak to this item, NCPT 5? Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public comment portion. Committee, this item is for action. It was taken off consent through our process. There's a neighborhood group that had expressed some concerns. Any comments, questions, or is there a motion? Yes, Commissioner Towns.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is one of those situations that takes me back to the immediate past version of our land bank policy. When the analysis was, if you wanted a land bank property and it was buildable, then you had to build on it. But that proved not to be as successful as we hoped. There were some builds, but after what a pretty exhausting process of at least over a year of public engagement about the land bank and how things were now, that notion was kind of rejected and has been opened up now to the yard extensions again, the tulips and tomatoes, I call them the gardens. And we can see by the overwhelming number of applications that people are engaged with that. So when I looked at this, and thank you, Mr. Sutton, for your explanation that this is not a 50-foot lot, they're two 25
That is correct.
foot lots, which also puts a different perspective on it. So I think what our current policy does is allow for this. And other than maybe some misunderstanding of, a whole lot, one lot that's buildable, we've got two lots that, would they be buildable independently at the 25-foot?
Using narrow lot design guidelines, I'm pretty sure that
Okay.
guidelines are meant to hit the 25-foot lots.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner.
Which is, according to a recent change, an optional. There's no obligation to do that. So I would move to approve this land bank application as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner. There are other comments that folks want to make?
Find them second.
Okay. All right, there was a motion and a second for this item. Clerk, can we get the roll?
Roll call. Ramirez,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner Towns.
Thank you. Public service announcement opportunity, but I'm going to make it every chance we get, particularly with how we find ourselves still trying to identify money to go back to our bi-monthly cutting of land bank lots. It is imperative that those persons who are being awarded lots out of the land bank for whatever purpose, building, garden, yard extension, know that when these awards are made, that becomes the responsibility of that new property owner to maintain them. If not, I hope we are putting a language that will revert this property back if we could. We don't want it back, that's not it, but we need to make it crystal clear that that's the responsibility of the awardee now, We don't have the number of staff that we had before revenue neutral to go and abate weeds, unkept yards that is in the hands of private ownership. We should not be doing that. So I'm, taking this opportunity to make a public service announcement. Thank you, Chair.
Yep.
That you get these awards, it becomes your responsibility to keep them up. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I think that's kind of the big thing is we, did the work, did the community engagement. It took us 2.5 years to get to this point. And now there's the other side of it is your property to maintain. That's the other side of it. And you have to pay taxes on it. You have to pay stormwater fee on it. You have to mow it. It is yours to maintain. And so that's the other side of having a policy that is more permissive. And so I do appreciate your comments there, Commissioner. Okay, Mr. Sutton, go ahead and take it away, starting with all of these are on our consent agenda. So I'll just have you read through all of them. Do make sure that it aligns with our written agenda so folks can follow along. And we'll do public comment afterwards. Take it away.
Thank you, Commissioner. Michael Sutton, Redevelopment Coordinator. Starting with our property transfers, PT1, 1968 North 4th Street. PT2, 1719 Walker Avenue. PT3, 2111 North 29th Street. PT4, 1269 Pennsylvania Avenue. PT6, 1011 Ohio Avenue. PT7, 2724 Kimball Avenue. PT8, 1121 North 13th Street. PT9, 257 South Mill Street. PT10, 1112 Ruby Avenue, 1108 Ruby Avenue, and 1104 Ruby Avenue. PT11, 1411 North 32nd Street. PT12, 1532 Haskell Avenue. PT13, 1034 Dotson Avenue. PT14, 1034 Cleveland Avenue. PT15, 3136 Georgia Avenue. PT16, 340 Haskell Avenue. PT17, 735 Lyon Avenue. PT18, 7548 Lathrop Avenue. PT19, 2133 North 34th Street. PT20, 2225 Russell Avenue. PT21, 216 North 30th Street. PT22, 1323 New Jersey Avenue. PT23, 112 South 14th Street. PT24, 1134 Osage Avenue. PT25, 1900 North 62nd Place. PT26, 44 South Mill Street. PT27, 8317 Riverview Avenue. PT28, 957 Northrop Avenue, PT29, 1519 North 36th Street. PT30, 818 Troop Avenue. PT31, 2001 North 54th Street. PT32, 1859 North 28th Street. PT33, 1006 Dotson Avenue. PT 34, 1937 North 28th Street, PT 35, 1211 Pacific Avenue, and PT 36, 950 Reynolds Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sutton. Let's do public comment first. Clerk, any public comments for those items?
No comments were received.
Any hands raised online?
There are no hands raised online.
Okay, for the people here in the gallery, would anybody like to speak to these items that were just read? Let the record show no one has approached. I'll go ahead and close the public comment portion. Colleagues, any questions or is there a motion? Yes, Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you, Bynum at large one. I have three questions. Mr. Knapp, it's a long list. I know you're just making your way through the applications that have been on hold. So some of these have been holding for a while. Is that correct? Or we're just kind of trying to play catch up?
Yes, we are playing catch up, but next month we have 17.
Okay.
So like this, we have 36.
Yeah, so we're closing in on the end of the list.
We have caught up.
Great. And then, when we transfer these yard extensions or gardens, is there a replat that combines the two into one address?
This is Wendy Green, Deputy Chief Counsel. They have to apply for that replat.
Okay, and we explained that there's more paperwork to do, is that right?
Yes, we send them to GSS across the street. When we transfer it, we make sure the name matches their current house so they can be joined together.
Thank you. And then last, Council Green, is there any legal clawback when we say you have to mow it and keep it trash and weed free?
Wendy Green, Deputy Chief Counsel. No, there is no legal, when we deed it over, it is deeded over.
And they have code violations, but we can't make our policy say, if you don't take care of this, we're taking it back.
Correct. And the reason we didn't do that, we discussed it quite a bit when we had our subcommittee meetings. The reason we didn't do that is because even if we'd had a clawback provision in the deeds, we would still have to take anybody that did not do what they were supposed to do to court.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Chair, motion to approve.
Okay, if there are no other comments, is there a second?
Second, Ramirez.
You going to say something, Commissioner?
I was gonna say.
Okay, all right, clerk, can we get the roll?
Roll call. Ramirez,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Okay, that takes us to our next item, which is 4.4. This is a land bank option extension request from J. Hortons Holdings. So I'll hand it off to either Mr. Knapp or Mr. Sutton for this item. Oh, we have, yes, please join us. Oh, make sure your mic is green and then just introduce yourself and then, yes, please take it away.
Okay, hello, my name is Carlonda McKinney. I am one of the partners of J. Horton Holdings. I'm here today to request an extension on an option that was granted some years ago. Just to kind of go through the high-level timeline of events, at the very end of 2019, with the grandest of ambitions, my partner and I came before the committee. We had plans for several lots over in Turtle Hill, and we were granted that option. And then the next few years happened the way that they happened, have had a few significant hiccups since then. And transparently, we were not prepared for what came next. We are in a much better position right now. Some of the issues we dealt with were funding falling through. So one of the CDFIs that was going to fund this project folded. they didn't make it through COVID, and it's been a struggle to get more traditional lenders to fund this project because we were an unproven developer at the time. In the time since, so my partner and I have this project, and we also have a project in an area called Stop Six, which is in Fort Worth, very much like Wyandotte County, but we've successfully built and sold some houses there. So what has happened now is that we have a lot more leverage with lenders, and those conversations are going a lot better. I really just need more time, is what I'm here to ask for. I need more time to solidify those conversations, get closed, and build as we intend to. We're shovel ready on all of these. We've got the plans, we got the surveys done, we've got the neighborhood buy-in. Every time we're over there cutting and maintaining the lots, as you were talking about earlier, Ms. Townsend, it's about 2 acres all told. Every time we're over there, the neighbors come out and say, hey, are you still gonna build something? We're like, yes, we are. So Miss Bonnie, Miss Sylvia, they're all still excited for us. So I'm here asking for this option to be extended. I need some more time to get it done.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your patience and your commitment to our community. It is really exciting to see, even with all of the wild things happening with interest rates and things that it is a lot right now to be a developer, particularly if you're on the smaller side. Before there's more conversations, committee, I do want to do a public comment, and then we'll come back. Clerk, was there any public comment for this item?
There are no comments received.
Are there any hands raised online?
There are no hands raised online.
Okay, for the folks here in the gallery, would anybody like to speak to this item? Let the record show no one has approached. I'll go ahead and close public comment portion. I do have a question so your original option was for how long?
1 year.
For 1 year.
It was
Okay.
for 1 year.
For this extension, you're asking for how much?
So I could answer that 2 ways. I can answer that the really ambitious way and say 1 year. Realistically, I would like 2 years because we're building in phases. And so the first phase is 3 houses right there on Oakland. We've already gone through some of those lots were too narrow, so we've combined 2 of them, and then we cut one large one in half, and that'll be 3 houses right there. And then on Fifth Street, that's phase 2, and then on the other side by Liberty Bank, that's phase 3. So I'll take 1 year, but if you're willing to do 2 years, that would be my ask.
Sure. And we do have in the new policy the discretion of the land bank manager to extend from maximum of 2 years on top of whatever we do here if we get to that point. So, okay, this is an actionable item. Colleagues, are there any other questions or is there a motion?
Townsend moved to approve for 2 years this request.
Bynum, second.
A third on that as well. Okay, clerk, can we get the roll?
Roll call, Ramirez,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Motion is 4-0, carries.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your patience and your commitment.
Thank you, committee. Thank you, Judd. I appreciate it.
All right, last item, home stretch. Property transfers for stormwater projects.
Let me get that up 1 second, Commissioner.
Yep. Okay, take it away.
Sarah Schaefer, Public Works. We are here to go ahead and request those property transfers into our unified government name for the purposes of our stormwater and combined sewer overflow reduction program projects. We will have a process of moving those through our construction and design, and any properties that we're able to secure, make sure that they're not flooding, et cetera. We do take the process to realign those lot lines, make sure that they are buildable widths, take that burden off of whomever may be interested them in the future, and then we return them back to land bank.
Thank you, and thank you for your patience. Staff, I don't necessarily see a list of addresses. Okay, if we can just, okay, we'll just pull up the addresses and just make sure that folks know, probably have them just read out so everybody knows where this amazing work is taking place. And do remind me, the funding for this is, we aren't talking ARPA dollars. This is coming from enterprise funds. Where's the funding coming from?
Correct. So this is CSO 14 sewer separation project. It would be an enterprise fund geo-bonded at this time is what it's projected to be funded by.
Gotcha. And you know how much, just for the dollar amount for the bond?
Approximately $12 million. I have to thank my lovely staff member here. She's keeping me honest. Yeah, we just submitted all of our documentation for those bond descriptions to finance and hopefully moving forward with those bonds quickly.
Okay, cool. Okay. Keeping in order just with process staff, if you can go through and read through these addresses, and then we will go ahead and do public comment and then more discussion or a vote.
Got it. Thank you, Commissioner. Michael Sutton, Redevelopment Coordinator, 2701 North 17th Street.
Mr. Sutton, can you zoom in just a little bit? I have good eyesight, but that's pretty hard to see. Okay, thank you.
All right. 2701 North 17th Street, 2520 North 17th Street, 2518 North 17th Street, 2514 North 17th Street, 2536 North 17th Street, 2533 North 17th Street, 2529 North 17th Street, 1337 Cleveland Avenue, 1341 Cleveland Avenue, 1343 Cleveland Avenue, 1231 Waverly Avenue, 2070 North 17th Street, 2411 North 13th Street, 2409 North 13th Street, 2407 North 13th Street, 2312 North 13th Street, 1210 Parallel Parkway, 1535 Roland Avenue, 2510 North 17th Street, 1528 Cleveland Avenue, 2078 North Valley Street, 2073 North 13th Street, 2071 North 13th Street, 1240 Parallel Parkway, 1227 Waverly Avenue, 1740 Yecker Avenue, 1730 Yecker Avenue, 1734 Yecker Avenue, 1728 Yecker Avenue, and 2511 Alden Street. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Clerk, did we receive any public comment for this item?
No comments were received.
Any hands raised online for those watching?
There are no hands raised online.
Perfect. For the folks here in the gallery, no one in the gallery. I'll go ahead and close the public comment. Committee, is there a motion or any comments? Yes, Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Townsend District 1. Good evening, Ms. Schaefer, Ms. Blevins, thank you. Several years ago, we ran into a situation, this was in District 1 and 3rd Street, where in a commercial area, the commission had voted to award a land bank property, and we had to take it back for a stormwater control issue. And that was the first, of this kind of thing coming up. And so as I understand the list, or I want to make sure I understand that the list of locations that was just read will help control flooding and other stormwater management. So these are items that could never be used for builds. Would that be the appropriate thing to say?
Sarah Schaefer, Public Works. No, that may not be appropriate to put a blanket statement on these particular parcels. So these parcels are either going to be directly utilized for the compensation and the water quality, or they'll be utilized for the construction activity, which would minimize our need for easements and lay down areas. We're going to be doing site work on these for grading to get rid of some of the sump areas where the water just naturally goes, which is a burden on a lot of our community developers who are looking at these at a site-by-site basis, as well as making sure that we have the design space to put all of our piping and all of our stormwater assets in. So some parcels will never come back online. Others will be kind of fixed, rehabbed from a land development perspective and be ready for a ready build.
Oh, good to know that. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome.
Move to approve is submitted.
Bynum, second.
Right. Beat me to it. Clerk, can we get the roll?
Roll call, Ramirez,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
As always, y'all are awesome. Thank you so much for the work that y'all are doing in our community. I'm really excited to see what the finished product looks like, and hopefully we can attract some developers. With that, committee, unless anybody has any other comments, we have no other items. Yes, Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to commend our staff, Mr. Sutton, Mr. Knapp, council, you, Chair, Commissioner Bynum, for the way this has developed in getting a format that's helping move as expeditiously as possible with the huge number of addresses that now are being addressed in one way or other. So coming to perfection, but thank you.
Thank you. Yes, yes, I echo that. Our staff has been wonderful in just getting this process going, and to get through the backlog in, goodness, 6 months, maybe give or take, since the new policy is adopted, 6, maybe 7 months, is pretty impressive. So thank you all so much. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Bynum, so move.
Is there a second?
Townsend, second.
All right, clerk, can we get the roll to adjourn?
Roll call, Ramirez,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0. Motion
Right,
carries.
thank you all so much. Have a safe ride home.